What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good, fam? Thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. This is your man Cam. It's week 254 of the Voice of the Fans podcast, and we thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all your fans who's been with us from the jump. This has been a wild ride, so appreciate you guys, and we got another week of exciting content to talk about. Let's get the show started just like this.
Who am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name
Cameron.
is
Cam Buford.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
This is a big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
As a competitor, how much does that competitive spirit get in there and say, I want to fight this guy, I want to get some of this guy?
Of course I want to fight all the guys. Of course that. But at the same time, like I keep telling you, it's a business.
Talk about that loyalty for a moment. I'm standing there to try to make a change. Give back to the youth, give back to my community and show them that there is hope that you can make it out. Only thing is you just got to be dedicated. You got to keep your head down and stay on this course that you're heading towards.
Think about it like this. The promoter pays the fighter. The fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter, and the fighter works
For the promoter. Okay.
If you can see, you can believe.
So you are lifting weights currently?
When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with them?
To me, it's easy to score all over the world.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show Voice of the
Oh
Fan
my goodness!
continues
gracious.
to evolve,
Come on, you were adding some spice to it.
it is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
Like you said, Pacific Northwest, so I think it's a big part of my game, and every time I step on the floor, I just want to represent myself.
You play this game and you don't turn to win a championship, then why are you playing for?
I'm happy for the Mariners. I'm happy for all
Ken. Nobody.
Never mind.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
You look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's Big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sports. Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do. Yeah.
What's good, fam? Thank you guys for tuning in once again to the Voice of the Fans podcast. This is your man Cam. It's week 254 of this iteration of the Voice of the Fans podcast. Fans, NFL season is right upon us. It's fantasy football draft time. I mean, everybody's drafting their fantasy football teams within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So almost had a draft tonight, but we're gonna push it off to next week. So it's time to get this thing right. Fans, tonight we're going to talk about the NFL, some of the NFL preseason stories that we're following. The NBA is, again, the NBA is staying top of mind. Even MJ had something to say about the NBA this week. If you hadn't heard about it. MLB, these playoff races is heating up. MLB with 130 games into the season. So I'm going to touch on some track and field as well. And then we got some combat sports. Had a pretty good UFC card over the past weekend, so that was fairly interesting. See what you guys' feedback on that. As you guys see, I'm running solo today, apparently, so I'm gonna need you guys' feedback. Jump on the chat, whether you're watching us on HMB Media or Voice of the Fans on YouTube. Jump in the chat. Let me know your comments. Give me your thoughts on the NBA, the NFL, or UFC. Give me your comments and we can chime in on that if you will. Be so kind, just participate in the show. Each and every week, man, we start our show off with our numbers game, with it being August 23rd, 2023, week 254. Going to look at the number 23. When we look at these numbers, who wore that number best? Or who come to your mind first? Kind of my initial question I like to ask when we look at these numbers. Who wore this number best, or who come to your mind first when you think of the number 23 or the number 54? Also, today's Kobe's birthday, I believe. Shout out to Kobe. Shout out to Kobe, the Bean Bryant. But today, August 23, 2023 is a day. So we look at the number 23. And for me, only really truly one person you think of when you think of the number 23. You made it synonymous all those days playing with the Chicago Bulls and then carried on over to the Washington Wizards. And that's Michael Jordan. I mean, is there any other question? You have Calvin Murphy. You have Marcus Trufant, former Seahawk, Wazoo, former Wazoo player, a football player. Or if you want to look at Jamal Crawford, awarded number 23 in high school, but there's really only one person awarded number 23 that you think of. Also, when you think of the number 54, my guy Zach Thomas finally made the NFL Hall of Fame. How many of you guys really believe Zach Thomas was Hall of Fame worthy? I think that's an interesting question. He finally got in after years of being on the ballot, finally made it to the Hall of Fame. So congratulations for Zach for making it to the Hall of Fame. But how many really you guys think he was Hall of Fame worthy? Yeah, Brian Urlacher, also awarded number 54. Horace Grant awarded number 54. There's a couple guys that come to my mind. And somebody who I think this guy had the perfect body, but never quite reached his potential in the NBA was Chris Wilcox. Chiseled 6'9", power forward in the NBA, but just never really rounded into shape. No, I don't think he really reached his potential. If I'm wrong, let me know, but I don't think Chris Wilcox really truly ever reached his potential in the NBA. Nonetheless, he's somebody who also won 54. Fans, this week, I mean, the running back saga in the NFL continues to spin wildly and rapidly, if you will, because this week what we have is after the Colts kind of threatened to put this guy on a PUP list, physically inactive to perform on the NFL, Irsay who just isn't the brightest tool in anyone's shed, threatened weeks ago not to honor Jonathan Taylor's trade request, not to give him a raise. And then finally this week he says he's on the market. He's able to go seek compensation or seek a trade elsewhere. But then he's asking for 2 number ones. He doesn't want to pay the guy, but then he's saying, well, give me 2 number ones if you're interested in the guy. Which, I mean, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth, trying to capitalize on the solid player that he's been, but he doesn't want to pay him, but he's asking for 2 number ones. Does that make any sense, guys? He wants somebody to give him top tier value for the player, but he doesn't want to pay him himself. So it just doesn't make sense at all what they're doing. And it looks like Jonathan Taylor will not be a part of the Colts very much longer after this season. So Jonathan Taylor, do you trade for Jonathan Taylor, considering the ups and downs you have with the running back position? Some teams think they can probably get 2 guys to give you the production of 1 guy who can stay relatively healthy. And Jonathan Taylor wasn't healthy last year. Do you trade for him? Would you trade for him if you're one of the teams in the NFL who needs a running back, i.e. Dallas Cowboys, Jacksonville Jaguars? I know they got ATN, but would you trade for Jonathan Taylor? Los Angeles Chargers need somebody to take a lot of the carries that you can count on from how they do it, but would you, if you were the Chargers, would you trade for Jonathan Taylor? Or does that make sense for you guys? He's tied to the Miami Dolphins. Should the Miami Dolphins make a move for him? Now, last week they decided not to pull the trigger on a Dalvin Cook trade, and instead he ends up going to their division rivals. But do you think Miami Dolphins give up a number 1 and a couple players, a couple backs, and a couple backs to Indy for the services Jonathan Taylor. And where does that vault him? Does that take them into the top of the AFC East if they were to make that move? But Jonathan Taylor, is he worth the trouble? He was injured last year. 2 years ago, he had I think he led the league in rushing and touchdowns. Where does Jonathan Taylor rank on your list of running backs? And is he worth the first rounder in your opinion? Do you make that move if you're one of the top teams in the NFL who feel they're a running back away? That's an interesting move. I personally, as a Dolphin fan, I mean, you kind of have to. If you have Waddle, Tyreek Hill on your as your wide receivers, and then you add a Jonathan Taylor in the mix, that offense has just become so much more formidable. If you get a stud running back like that, I mean, Mostert is great because he has has a lot of speed to hit those holes, but Jonathan Taylor kind of in between the tackles runner, catch the ball out of the backfield. He just brings a lot. Is very dynamic. Brings a lot of skill set to your team. So, I mean, if all it is a first rounder, and then we can get him to sign for somewhere around that $10 to $12 million per year dollar sign, we got to do it. And knowing now that we have a top tier running back in the backfield, that just makes those guys super explosive. So you got to take advantage of the opportunity while you have it. Kind of like the Rams said a couple years ago, F them picks, send them first and second rounder, 2 or 3 years down the line, so we don't have to pay for it all this offseason, and go for it because you got the team in Miami. I mean, you got a high-powered offense, and he'll fit right in there with a high-powered offense because you see the production he had on a team that was running with a scrubby quarterback and not the dynamic receiving core that the Indianapolis Colts has. So, yeah, we'll take him. We'll take him off your big Darnell Smith. We'll take him off your hands if you guys don't know how to treat the guys right. We'll take him. So yeah, I would make the moves in the same vein as Sean McVay and the Rams with the F those picks. I'd certainly take Jonathan Taylor. It turns out that Josh Jacobs plans on coming back just before Week 1 to the Raiders. So again, he's not going to miss a full season. The Raiders has essentially just also botched this scenario with their running back. Josh Jacobs plans to return to the Raiders just before week 1. Again, you guys know my thoughts on Josh Jacobs, special running back, who the Raiders should be taking care of. But in their fifth year, they have kind of worn him down to a point where they don't want to now make the investment in him, which is just ludicrous in my opinion. Pay the guy for his production. Pay the guy who's going to give you. He led the league in rushing last year. Three of his first 4 years in the NFL was over 1,100 yards, I believe. So, Josh Jacobs, I mean, I don't understand what by not wanting to pay this guy, not picking up his option. You franchise tagged him, sure enough. But go ahead and give him a contract because he's shown that he's durable enough. He's going to be there. And why you're not paying him, I totally don't get it. So Josh Jacobs should be. Josh Jacobs should be. He's going to be there. I don't know why he wouldn't be there. I don't know why they're hanging around and not playing him. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't think it means it's. I don't think it's a smart move by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, let me see where my co-host is, guys. Excuse me. Yeah, so Josh Jacobs. What would you do with Josh Jacobs? What would you do with Josh Jacobs? I don't know. Do you want Josh Jacobs on your team for long term? Do you want Josh Jacobs on your team long term, or what? I certainly would pick him up. I certainly would. I certainly would pay him. I think the Raiders are kind of botching this situation as well. So shame on them. Baker Mayfield, starting quarterback in Tampa. Anybody surprised by that? Anybody surprised by Baker being a starter in Tampa, or is this what we kind of knew that would happen? Because he definitely it even being a question that he was not. He should or shouldn't be a starter in Tampa was like not kind of I don't say slap in the face is kind of strong, but him being in the running for the starter position with Trask, I mean that's kind of shame on him or shame on Tampa. But Baker kind of put himself in a position where I was fighting for his fighting to say that Baker Mayfield was a special guy in the NFL. He's proven anything but at this point. And that's kind of surprising that it was actually an actual battle and actual he's proven that it being a battle was kind of excuse me, fans. I don't know. Is that shame on Baker, or is that shame on Baker, or shame on the Buccaneers for it even being a question? Because I mean, hell, him not being there, him not showing up and being the quarterback who I thought he was coming out of college. I thought he was around a lot of talent in Cleveland Browns. You know, kind of put him in a situation. A lot of talent. Decided to join us tonight, huh? You know, kind of put him in a.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Cam.
Man, so Baker Mayfield being named a starter in Tampa Bay. Is this overdue? Is this what you expected? Is this shame on Tampa for playing around this long with this decision?
No, it's not shame on Tampa. I mean, they knew that, you know, Baker Mayfield is kind of like a stopover, and they were kind of hoping for something, you know, a little bit better than him. But if he's their alternative, then that's what they got. That's what they got to go with. But they were going to give any and everyone every ample opportunity to take that job away from him. And, you know, kudos to him for holding on to it.
I mean, but Baker Mayfield, should he have been in this situation? It's kind of like I was saying that he hasn't been the quarterback who I thought he was going to be with the Cleveland Browns. He hasn't been the quarterback that I thought it would be to this point in his NFL career. So is it kind of shame on Baker for letting everybody down, or is it shame on Tampa for still trying to figure this out and riding with Baker? And what do you expect from these Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Baker leading the helm?
Oh no, it's shame on Tampa Bay for letting the musical chairs kind of settle the way they did and not having someone to step in and be a true legitimate starting quarterback. I mean, I think that we all know where this is going. By week 5 or week 6, they're going to be turning around and looking to see who else is on the sideline, and it's not going to be anybody that they're really very happy with, but it's going to be somebody that they have to roll with because otherwise, they would be left with Baker Mayfield out there.
Oh wow! So you don't even give Baker half a season. You say by week 5 or 6, they're gonna be looking on the sideline to see the Kyle Trask, the second year. This is his second year, right? Kid out of Florida.
Yeah, and they were trying to give him every opportunity to show that he was at least that good, and so far he hasn't, which is unfortunate, but. It's going to be about mid-season, maybe a little sooner, before they just won't have a choice in the matter. They're just going to have to turn to him. Baker's not that guy.
Wow. Well, I got to get your feedback on this. I got it in the Jonathan Taylor scenario. Now, the Miami Dolphins leaped to the top of the top of the chart as a prospective viable option for Jonathan Taylor and a coach trade, but the coach saying we're not going to pay him. We don't see any value in paying him, but we want 2 number 1 for him. Did that make any sense to you?
Makes absolutely no sense, because on the one hand, you're saying that he is not worth a big contract, but on the other hand, in order to retain his services, you want 2 number 1s, and that's typically for someone that you feel is at a Pro Bowl level, one of the elite players at their position, which they do feel that about, but at the same time, they see the way that the running back market has been undervalued and don't want to pay too much for him. But
so why would any team, much less the Miami Dolphins, give up 2 number 1s for him?
Oh, they won't. I mean, they'll just wait this whole thing out. I mean, there's no such thing as giving up 2 number 1s for someone that is unhappy and, within a season is going to be a free agent, and, they can sign him for, without giving up any picks. However, given the fact that the Dolphins may not make the playoffs this year without a significant upgrade at the running back position within the running game, that, they may have that sense of desperation to do that.
The Dolphins won't make the playoffs this year, and you say they may have the sense of desperation?
Correct, yeah. Correct, yes. I don't know, fans, if you recall the tirade that my co-host went on Sunday with regards to what Tua Tagovailoa is and does, and his critique of his capabilities and ability to stay healthy. So yeah, and what's a quarterback's best friend, Cam?
An awesome running game.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, I think Jonathan Taylor gives you an awesome running game. They already.
Do you think Jonathan Taylor?
They were already playing around with Dalvin Cook not returning his calls. You see how that went. So, I mean, if they want to make the playoffs, they're serious about contending. To make the playoffs, that's a trade they should make.
Well, I'm in a mindset of Sean McVay. I was a fan, and I like the thinking of young McVay, especially when they say F them picks, and that resulted in a Super Bowl win for them. I like that theory. I like that thinking. Go ahead and give them a number 1 next year and a second round draft pick in 2 to 3 years. Go ahead and send that to Indianapolis. They've proven that they don't know what to do with picks, and they don't know how to run their franchise. So go ahead and give it to them. They're not going to be a threat to you anytime soon. So go ahead and give them that picks to pick up Jonathan Taylor and put him in the backfield with Raheem Mostert, Ahmed, and the rookie A-Chain is he got a shoulder injury to recover from. So I say go ahead and get him in the game. Get them on the team, because with their receiving core, and now you have a Pro Bowl running back, a legitimate Pro Bowl running back, like that team, as you mentioned, the quarterback's best friend is a great running game, and then that just changes the whole format of that team. I mean, what do you do? Do you drop back and play these guys deep for Hill and Waddle? You don't want to get behind you. And that just opens up the holes for Raheem Mostert and now Jonathan Taylor. Oh my goodness gracious. That offense going to be so more formidable, and it just takes a lot more pressure off of the injury riddled quarterback, doesn't it?
Oh, without question, Cam. I mean, I think they should definitely be trying to do something. Now, they may decide that the price tag is too high, and that they're just not willing to do that, give up all those picks, especially considering where they may end up this season. And like you said, excuse me?
Where they may, go ahead, continue your nonsense.
Yeah, where they may end up this season. I mean, outside of the playoffs. So, that could very well be a top 15 pick. Top 15, somewhere between 15 and 18.
Cleveland, the fans not buying your it's not even humorous now. Your dislike and how you're down talking the Dolphins. It's not even humorous anymore. They see right through this blatant inobjectivity.
Okay, Cam. I don't know why you're taking offense to me. I mean, I think.
This is you saying this.
I think you've seen the way the AFC has recalibrated itself. It doesn't really leave any room for the Miami Dolphins to make the playoffs.
Well, we're going to get to that later on. We're in here shortly. We're going to discuss our playoff team. We picked our division winners last week. So we're going to review a division winners, and that leaves a few slots open, just a few for the other AFC teams to make the playoffs. It's a tight window. That it's a tight competition, and we're going to talk about the NFC and AFC teams that sneak in who don't win their division. Now, there's only 3 spots if you don't win that division for you to get in there, and we're going to identify who those players are. But before we get into that, what's your thoughts on Josh Jacobs planning to come back just before week 1 to face the Broncos for the Las Vegas Raiders?
Smart move. Get the franchise tag money. You can franchise a player twice, so we may be going through this same thing next season. But yeah, why go through camp and all that wear and tear and stuff if you're not happy with the situation financially and they're not making any commitment to you long term? Why go out there and risk all that?
So, and you make a good point there. And one team that did make a commitment to a certain player is now, I wonder if they're regretting making their commitment to this particular player. Certainly the Minnesota Vikings aren't regretting sending down Stephon Diggs to the Buffalo Bills, because in their replacement, this doesn't happen very often, but they were able to replace Stephon Diggs, who I told you at the time was a premier wide receiver in the NFL. But the Minnesota Vikings were able to replace him with the all-pro. Is all-pro is all-time? Can we stop? Where the compliments and the parallels for Justin Jefferson, where do they stop? I mean, is he all-world? Is he all-pro? Is he Pro Bowl? Is he best player in the game? Like, where do they stop with Justin Jefferson? But the Vikings lucked out and replaced Stephon Diggs with Justin Jefferson, and now the Buffalo Bills. I mean, is he showing that he's more? He's not been the player off the field, or excuse me, he's not being the player on the field that he's worth the hassle off the field. What are you seeing from this scenario with Stephon Diggs? I mean, he's obviously performed on the field, but his malcontent or being a malcontent, not happy with the quarterback, getting him the ball in crucial moments of the game is kind of created a chink in the armor for the Buffalo Bills. And do you see his relationship with the quarterback bringing that team down this season?
For sure. I mean, he's drifting into that, Antonio Brown, Terrell Owens, stratosphere. We're in, you're a cancer to the team. You're a diva number 1 receiver. As we've said on this show many times, Cam, a receiver's number 1 problem is he can't throw the ball to himself. So, you can only, do what you can do. And if you feel like you should be doing more or be more featured or be more of the focal point of the offense, and like you said, become a malcontent, then it just becomes, a cancerous situation. It eats the team away from the inside out.
I mean, I can't argue that. I told you what a player he was on the field, but if you're not bringing any cohesion to the team and you're not being a team player and everything now becomes all about you, I mean, I'd like to know more about what the issue is. Is he not happy with the play calling? Is he not happy with the quarterback getting in the ball? Is he not happy? What is he not happy with? I like to know that, because he's the number 1 receiver on the team. His third down targets are among the top in the NFL. I'd like to know what he's not happy with. And that's what I don't have the complete story of what Stephon Diggs is not happy about. But if you're the number 1 player on the team, they upped your contract last season. You're another number 1 receiver on the team. They upped your contract last season. Like, you tell me, is it not? Are you not happy in Buffalo? Are you not happy when it's because it's cold? Now, you've been in Minnesota and Buffalo, so two cold cities, two rabid fan bases. I personally like to know what you're not happy about. I don't understand what you're not happy about, because you're in a situation where in Minnesota, you were the best receiver on the team. Though they didn't, the offense was more spread around because they had a more balanced offense. They had a young Adam Thielen, they had a young Dalvin Cook, and you were, though you were the guy, the team was more of a team game. So I can understand you saying I want the ball more, etc. But in Buffalo, you clearly are the number one receiver. You clearly are the number one target for a supposed NFL caliber quarterback. Like, I don't understand what the problem is, Cleveland. Can you shed some light on this?
Yeah, he's a diva number one receiver, and he loves me some me. So, when he's not getting all of his touches, when he's not getting all the accolades,
but you can't get the ball every single play. They can't throw the ball to you every single play.
Well, sometimes diva number one receivers think that. Again, as I have said, it depends on the situation, right? Like, for me, I have said that the number one most devastating play in football right now, offensively, is Joe Burrow or Jamar Chase. Now, I think they should throw the ball to him 20 times a game, 25 times a game.
Well,
just see what happens.
Just to see what happens.
Just see what happens. I mean, the timing and the chemistry between those two is, very special, unique.
Yeah, okay.
Stephon Diggs, when you get to these pinnacles and these, points in your career where it's like, take that next step, and you feel like you should be the person that is, helping the team take the next step, and they're doing other things. Josh Allen is not the most accurate quarterback. Let's be perfectly honest. I mean, he's physically gifted, but he's going to throw the ball around a little bit, and there are going to be some times where there's going to be some head scratching throws. Now, does that mean that everything is, Josh Allen's fault? No. Does that mean that Stephon Diggs needs more touches? Perhaps. Is that going to yield different results than what they've been able to achieve and accomplish at this point? Questionable.
I mean, he's the number one guy. He's the number one guy in Buffalo. He's the number one target. They need another team that could use Jonathan Taylor, because they've been searching around. They've had a running back by committee for the last 4 or 5 years, and they expect Josh Allen to do a lot of picking up a lot of yards on his own. So they can use a complement to what Diggs Allen combination. But I really would like to. That's something I would like to dig into more. What is it? Why is he unhappy? And why is he stirring up the pot in Buffalo? That's interesting. Speaking of another receiver up in your neighborhood, Smith and Jigba is to miss 4 weeks with the wrist sprain. Like, how much does this hurt his development? Now, again, you're going to tell me he shouldn't even been playing during preseason. We didn't need to see him and Drew Lock connect on some passes. We didn't need to see him running routes. I know that's what you're going to tell us, but how do you, does this hurt his development? Or have you seen all you need to see from him and just sit him down to next month?
No. He's a rookie, so it absolutely hurts his development with regards to, those reps that you get. And then, it's not necessarily in a preseason game per se, but in practice and all of the other things. So, yeah, the wrist surgery is huge, man. I've heard conflicting reports that he may be back for week 1, maybe a little bit longer. So we'll see. But, yeah, he was going to be a big integral part of the offense, a devastating third receiver. So, yeah, it's hurtful.
Well, there's still 17 weeks into the season, or there's 17 weeks in the season. So whether he's back week 1 or week 2, he'll still have 15 weeks to kind of show his wares. And I mean, I think he'll still be. He was catching passes from Drew Lock. Now, should he have been in the game with Drew Lock? I mean, Pete, I know you want to show how smart you are, how wise you are over how much knowledge you have over the NFL, rest of the NFL. But he should have been catching passes from Geno Smith, not Drew Lock. What do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
No, I think that he was doing the right thing. I didn't really see a reason for it to be, first teamers necessarily. I think some of the sets that they were running, I mean, Geno was only in there for a series. So, I don't think that those two necessarily needed to add any additional chemistry to what it was that they were doing. I think it was just important for Jackson Smith to be out there for a few reps to do his thing, but I don't think necessarily a Drew Lock versus Geno Smith type of comparison was necessary.
I mean, he's not. You think he's going to be catching passes from Drew Lock sometime this
Hopefully
season?
no. Hopefully he won't.
If he's catching passes from Drew Lock, there's more to worry about than who your receivers are
for sure
this season. So
Absolutely.
I thought that was interesting. Christian Kirk. I don't know if you heard what he had to say, but he was saying, I've been on a part of some number one receivers, some high flight receiving corps in the NFL. DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, and AJ Green. And he says this receiving corps in Jacksonville compares to that receiving corps of Arizona Cardinals. Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones. What's your thoughts on Christian Kirk, or is he just trying to prop up his guys?
I think that when he looks back and kind of assesses what those other receiving corps that he was a part of, those guys were old. So, the mere fact these guys are fresh and young is great. They can do some amazing things. They have yet to show that on the field for an entire season. And as you recall, Christian Kirk came over at like $20 million a year, which kind of set the wide receiver market on its ear. Contributing to Tyreek getting ungodly amounts of money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The trickle down effect with AJ Brown, to DK Metcalf, all started with Christian Kirk. So that's great. And they certainly have a capable quarterback in Lawrence over there to kind of distribute the ball, and an offensive minded head coach in Doug Peterson. So sure, I mean, on paper, it certainly sounds like it's a formidable receiving corps, and it probably rivals the receiving corps that he's talking about when he was there, but that receiving corps was pretty old.
That receiving corps is old, he says. I don't know that Christian Kirk signing the big deal that he did that changed the market for the NFL and wide receivers. I don't think that elevated his game. That didn't elevate his game. I mean, he was the first one to get paid, like one of the first ones to get paid that this tremendous dollar signs, and probably replacing the running backs, the salary market did. But I don't think that said because he got paid that big dollars, that doesn't tell me that he's that big a receiver. But Jacksonville seemed to think so. And I think they kind of needed to get the quarterback some legitimate targets, a legitimate target, if you will, and going ahead and getting Christian Kirk in the fold kind of gave him somebody to play with, if you will, Trevor Lawrence. So we'll see how that plays out. The Cardinals, they're going between Colt McCoy and Clayton Tune. I mean, we already knew that they weren't going to be a force in the NFC West this season. But when you see that they're starting with Colt McCoy, Colt McCoy has to be like 45 by now, doesn't he? Or Clayton Tune. Like, I mean, what's your thoughts? What comes to your mind? Excuse me.
Oh, you got to go with Colton. Hope the starting shortstop gets healthy as soon as possible, so he can get out there and take a few lumps and see what he can do. Kind of try and make it respectable. But I mean, I think they're crossing their fingers for the Caleb Williams lottery.
Okay, well, so they're not going to get they're not going to get your shortstop in the game no time soon. And we're looking at a week 6 or week 7 return for the shortstop if they're playing for Caleb Williams.
Well, I mean, it's still a professional franchise, and you want to put a decent product out there. So if he's when he's healthy and ready to go, let's see what he can do. But at the same time, I think that they're more than willing to move on, even though they gave him a huge lump sum of money. Those guys are billionaires, and the NFL prints money. So when it's time to move on, it's time to move on.
So speaking about moving on, I mean, this franchise has shown that they don't mind moving on. They drafted the quarterback out of UCLA,
Josh Rosen,
with the number 10 pick. Okay, the very next season, they not only do they move on from the head coach, but they pay the head coach ridiculous amount of money. Then they draft him because the coach says this quarterback is his dream guy. They draft Kyler with the number 1 draft pick. So they even, knowing that this is typically a 2-year injury that Kyler's recovering from, do they even play him this season? And if they don't play him this season, I mean, is he in danger of being released in the offseason? Because if they're playing for Caleb Williams gets drafted number 1. And what are you doing there? What kind of, I mean, I don't even, is it, they've shown that they're willing to move on from a player. So I'm not sure. I don't even think that's a tough decision. I guess the toughest decision is, what do you do with Kyler Murray? Do you trade him? Do you cut him? Do you release him? Do you try to get something for him? What do you do at that point? Do you call the A's up and say, do you want this guy, and try to see if they can get some cash consideration from a trade from the NFL to the Major League Baseball? Like, what do you do with this guy?
You just cut him. You realize your mistake. You realize that you fell for the fool's gold, and Kingsbury and his high-powered offense was cool for a minute. It was
it even cool for a minute?
They made the playoffs. Yeah, they made the playoffs with the shortstop at quarterback. But then over time, it started to become, painfully obvious that you have a shortstop playing quarterback, and that's just not a good thing.
Wow. So could we potentially see a player go from a starting quarterback in the NFL to starting shortstop in the Major League Baseball?
Oh, potentially, yeah, for sure.
You think he can get on the field and actually play Major League Baseball after playing in the NFL?
I think he can definitely do it. We've seen it with Deion Sanders, Brian Jordan. It's certainly possible. And neither one of those guys was a first-round pick in the MLB draft. So,
but they played a position. Deion Sanders was a designated hitter in the outfield.
He was an outfielder. They were both outfielders, and that's
not like playing shortstop in the Major League Baseball, is it?
It's a little bit different, but he was an elite shortstop. So, I don't think the transition is out of the realm of possibility, if that was your question. I think he could still certainly have a productive Major League Baseball career. But, at the same time, go sit somewhere for a couple of years and get your chance again and try it again, man. Someone else can try to play the shortstop quarterback.
Interesting. That'd be pretty interesting development if he actually tried to go back and play a shortstop in Major League Baseball after playing professional football. That'd be interesting to see if and how that could work out. That certainly be very interesting. Your guy Terry McLaurin sprained his toe Monday Night Football, questionable for Week 1. I don't know if you saw the Monday night game with the Commanders versus the Ravens, but Hal looked like he's a player. What's your thoughts on Hal?
I like him. I'm very curious to see what type of success he can have in the Eric Bieniemy offense with all those weapons. Now, unfortunately, they were playing somebody. We go back and forth about this, and of course, with every injury, it becomes more and more of a question mark, right? He lost one of his major weapons and may not be there for Week 1, but I think he's going to have a pretty good season, to be perfectly honest with you.
Well, that's going to be an interesting development to see how things shake out. Again, he's given the keys. There's nobody even pushing for the number 2 quarterback position. And where we all were saying that Bieniemy had no chance to do anything with the talent he had in compared to the talent he had in Kansas City, like this guy might have a better opportunity than we initially thought. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how things shake out, and can these Washington Commanders or the WFT or whatever you want to call them these days, it'll be interesting to see how these guys play and shake out this season. The Saints' Jimmy Graham experienced a medical assault over the weekend. He was taken into custody by local authorities and transported to a hospital. What do you know? What's your thoughts on this situation? As do you show any of this unstableness for the Seahawks? And were you surprised like me that Jimmy Graham was still in the league?
No, he didn't show any instability while he was here in Seattle. Surprised that he's back in the league? No. He's a physical, gifted individual. You can always use a Jimmy Graham if he's, available and healthy and in a position to be successful. Unfortunately, the Seahawks kept trying to use him as a lead blocker, which is not what he does. But the medical situation is a little bit of a concern. From what I'm hearing is that he had a seizure. So I don't know, we don't know what actually caused that, but if that is the reason, initially he was, arrested or taken into custody, whatever, under the suspicion of, being under the influence. And, after they drug tested him and found nothing in his system, then, this was the conclusion that they came to. So I think first and foremost, kind of trying to figure out, how to, monitor and manage that part of it is, a key part of what they're going to be able to do with him going forward. But yeah, if he's, physically able to play, see what he has left in the tank.
Yeah, I was surprised that he was still with the Saints, and I hope the man gets the help that he needs. And regardless of what I truly think about his talents on the field, let's hope for the guy to just be healthy, mentally stable. I kind of think that Jimmy Graham didn't reach his full potential in his NFL career. Big tight end. I think he got the best out of him playing for the Saints, but I still don't think he just reached his full potential. So, but I'm wishing the guy nothing but the best of health and hopefully get his health situation straightened out. And if he's back in the league, just be productive in the league. That's the best that we can hope for. Well, fans, last week, if you followed the show last week, we identified the division winners from the AFC and NFC last week. And we'll just quickly review those. But we're going to get into the additional playoff teams that round out the playoffs. Next week, we'll make our do you want to make Super Bowl predictions next week, or you want to predict division championship? Let's do division champions next week and then Super Bowl champions after that. How about that? Give us 2 more weeks to play with that. For last week, and just to recap, our playoff teams are division champs from each division. These are the teams that we predict going to win their division. AFC East, I had the Bills. Cleveland had the Jets. You want to hold on to that, Cleveland? I'll allow you to make some changes. The season.
I'm good with that. Thanks.
I'll allow you to make some changes.
No, I'm good with that one. Thanks.
AFC North, I have the Bengals. Cleveland has the Bengals. AFC South, I have the Jaguars. Cleveland has the Jaguars. AFC West, Cleveland has the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs. And final chance to change your AFC East division champs. You have the Jets. You rocking with the Jets?
Rocking with the Jets.
You and Saleh, huh? Saleh is so dry. Saleh comes off as phony as a head coach. He comes off as phony to me.
Not at all. Not at all.
He's very phony.
Not at all.
NFC East. I have the Eagles. Cleveland has the Eagles. The NFC North is interesting. I have the Lions fans. I got the Lions winning the NFC North. Cleveland has the Vikings with Kirk Cousins. You sure you're right on Kirk this season?
Yeah.
You're right on Kirk.
Yeah.
Okay. It's August 23, 2023. I'm giving you an opportunity to correct this pick right here. NFC South. I have the Saints. Cleveland has the Falcons. Cleveland? Who's the quarterback for the Falcons?
Desmond Ridder.
Oh, you say that like, is he high in your fantasy football list?
No,
is that? No. He sound like you got him high, like he's going to be a player. Is he going to be a factor in the NFL this year?
No, not really.
But you have him winning the NFC South.
Correct. The other teams are not very good.
NFC West, I have the 49ers. Cleveland had the 49ers. And I'm surprised that Cleveland is taking the 49ers after he beat up on Brock Purdy all offseason and doesn't want to give him any credit. And you keep thinking Trey Lance should be the guy, but Trey Lance couldn't even beat out what's my man's name out of USC, the big head quarterback.
Sam Darnold, and that's fine if that's how you guys feel. I mean, we'll take him up here. We got no problems with that. Like I said last show, 7th rounder. That's all you guys want. That's all you guys need. Fine with it.
All right, fans. So here's what you guys have been tuning in for, clamoring for this week. Cleveland to make his AFC. What 3 teams, Cleveland, do you have filling out the AFC playoffs? What 3 teams? I'll give you. You want to hear my teams, or you want to go first?
No, you go first, Cam.
The teams, and I fans, I looked at the rosters, looked at the scouting report, look at the health, the injury report. This is what I have, fans. With the best record to not win their division, the next team is going to be the Baltimore Ravens to make the AFC playoffs. They're not going to beat out the Cincinnati Bengals to make the playoffs. Cleveland, do you agree with them in Baltimore?
I agree.
Are they one of your teams, Cleveland, to make the AFC playoffs, the Baltimore Ravens? Because I know how you're not a fan of Harbaugh. I know you don't like their defensive mentality. I know how you don't want to give these guys any credit. But are you in agreement that the Baltimore Ravens are one of the teams that sneak into the AFC playoffs?
I agree with that. Yes.
Oh, Cleveland makes a. There you go. Good job, Cleveland. Good job. Good thinking out of you, sir. The second team, my next best record in AFC, not to win a division, however, will make after a long time crunching the rosters, comparing coming down with wins. I have the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego making the playoffs. Cleveland, do you agree with the Chargers making the playoffs?
Sorry, they're not one of my teams that make the playoffs.
Ooh, Cleveland, you want to give it? What is your second team to make the playoffs?
The Buffalo Bills.
Oh boy. Now the Bills were one of my considerations. But the turmoil, the internal, I think it's going to be internal strife that prevents those guys from making the playoffs. That the defense has the Buffalo Bills defense been what it was 2 or 3 years ago? What they threatened to be, having one of the best defensive back teams in the NFL, being one of the best tackling teams in the NFL. Have they taken the next step? I haven't seen them being able to take the next step. They're playing in a tough division, which you're gonna have to almost play perfect football to get out of the division that they're playing in, and I don't see that out of the Buffalo Bills. But you have the Buffalo. You want to explain to the fans why you have the Buffalo Bills, and you told me all about your resistance on Josh Allen being. You just told us he wasn't an accurate quarterback. You just told us earlier how he does too much. You told us about his receiving core and Stephon Diggs. We already know, the fans already know if they watch the show that you're not a big believer in Stephon Diggs anyway. So why do you have the Buffalo Bills sneak into the playoffs?
Well, Cam, I mean, they're still a formidable team out there in the AFC. They're able to do some things that they're just not good enough to get over the hump and get to the Super Bowl. I mean, there's no knock on them for that. I mean, you shouldn't shame the Buffalo Bills because they're not going to win the Super Bowl, but they'll be a playoff team. Yeah. They had a lot of injuries.
You make it sound like going to the playoffs in the AFC is an easy thing. Like,
no, it's not an easy accomplishment, especially considering how many teams are out there. And I know you're going to be disappointed with some of those teams that don't get there. So, personally disappointed about it. So, yeah.
Well, the next team I have, again, there's only 3 teams, fans. If you don't win your division, there's only one team that gets a bye. Now, since they changed the playoff rules, and there's only 3 teams that if you do not win your division, there's 3 teams that have a chance to go to the playoffs. Only 3 if you don't win your division. And in the AFC, we talked about it already. Cleveland has the Jets winning the AFC East. I have the Bills winning the AFC East. So in my mind, the Bills are already in the playoffs. Okay. I have the Bengals, the Jaguars, and the Chiefs also winning their division. Okay, so that puts those 4 teams in the division in the AFC East playoffs. Mm-hmm. I mentioned the Ravens. I mentioned the Chargers. Mm-hmm. The best division in the AFC is the AFC East.
True.
The best division in the AFC is the AFC East.
True.
Cleveland has the Jets winning that division. I don't think that's going to happen. The Buffalo Bills, in my mind, I just mentioned, they're already in the playoffs. Okay.
Which makes it crazy that you had a problem with me saying they were going to be in the playoffs, but okay.
So with that being said,
very contradictory, fans. That sounds like as contradictory as you can get.
I was looking for
cussing me out for putting the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. You got to win the division.
I wanted to know your logic. I want to know your logic.
Okay.
That leaves only one team, Cleveland. Right. One spot left in the AFC playoffs.
One spot in the AFC.
That spot going to the Miami Dolphins. Winning the AFC. That spot is going to the Miami Dolphins this season. Sneaking into the – when you have the combination of Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, the defense coming together as it has. You got Jalen Ramsey. You got Xavier Howard. You got the pass rusher, Christian Wilkinson is happy now playing. And you have Mike Vaping McDaniels on the sideline. This is new age football. This team is going to the AFC playoffs, the Miami Dolphins, the 2013 or 2023 version of the Miami Dolphins are going to the AFC playoffs. Who do you have filling in that last spot, Cleveland?
Cam, go old school. Go with the you know where I'm going with this, right?
I don't. The fans are clueless, especially when you say old school. Like there's only been one team to go undefeated in all of football, and if that's not the old school team you're talking about, we don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Terrible towels.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Black and gold.
Are you serious?
Hard-nosed, disciplined Pittsburgh Steelers.
I mean, it's been a while since the Steelers has been in the playoffs. It's been a while.
No, it's been 2 years. Or were they in the playoffs last year? No, less than 2 years ago. It ain't been a while.
So you have the Pittsburgh Steelers making the playoffs over the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego, the Miami Dolphins of South Beach. Who's the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Exactly. You don't even know the guy's name.
Wilson Pickett's nephew, Kenny Pickett, man. Cleveland.
Fans, you see, this is sometimes where Cleveland lose all objectivity. He just wanted to throw in. You just give a shout out to Tomlin. That's all you want to get Tomlin back in the playoffs. Is that what you're trying to do?
Is back in the playoffs? You make it seem like he's been out there on an island forever, like just floating in the abyss, man.
It might as well been the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Never had a losing season. Not one.
But he come on, he was 9-7 last year. I mean, he's borderline.
Not a losing season. Okay.
I mean, he was a game over 500.
So
you like those 500 teams. You like those teams. You like those teams hovering around 500. He was a 500. He was a game over 500 last season.
Okay, well, great.
It might have been. My goodness, fans, what do you think of that? What do you guys think about this?
With the rookie quarterback who got a chance to, learn on the job.
I mean, Minka Fitzpatrick. I know they got the mood changer over there, but Minka Fitzpatrick, he can't throw the ball to the receivers.
No, that's not his job.
Who is their number one receiver? Cleveland, can you name the number one receiver for
Pickens
the Pittsburgh
is their
Steelers?
number one receiver right now.
Who's that?
Pickens is their number one receiver right now.
Who's their running back? Do you know who their running back is, Cleveland?
Yeah, Jalen Warren is vying for that number one running back position, and Najee Harris can be a nice change of pace.
Yeah, Najee Harris. Maybe they recognize Najee Harris as just a goal line and short yardage back. Maybe he's found his niche there. But come on, Cleveland, I'm gonna give you a chance to. You can do all this again. You have the Ravens getting to the playoffs. You have the Buffalo Bills filling out the AFC roster, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cleveland, like one of these teams don't fit.
No, they all fit because they're all going to make the playoffs.
Wow. Okay, fans, you heard it here first. Cleveland has the Steelers making the playoffs. Interesting enough. So that means you got three teams on the AFC North making the playoffs, Cleveland?
Yep.
What? Are you kidding? All right, let's look at the NFC. Now, our division winners. We got the Eagles winning. You got the Vikings, I have the Lions. You have the Falcons, I have the Saints. And we both got the 49ers winning their division. So just like the AFC fans, there's three teams that will fill out the playoff roster. And the team I have, this is going to surprise everybody. Again, after looking at the injury report, after looking at the schedules, after looking at the depth chart, I have the Green Bay Packers sneaking into the NFC playoffs this season. Cleveland, who's your number 3 team sneaking into the NFC playoffs?
The Seattle Seahawks.
That's your third team. Okay. And I'm gonna follow that train. I too have the Seattle Seahawks sneaking into the playoffs as my number 2 team in the AFC to make NFC to make the playoffs. Who's your number 2 teams?
The Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys. Okay, so we agree with 2 of the 3 teams to make the playoffs. I got Dallas Cowboys would have been my 3rd team to make the playoffs. I actually had Seattle with the best record of these 3 teams to make the playoffs. Dallas Cowboys following them, and the Green Bay Packers coming in last there, Cleveland. Who do you have as the 3rd team to make the NFC playoffs to fill in this final spot?
Cam, I'm going to go with the Commanders.
The Washington Commanders?
The Commanders.
And Gordie Howe as a quarterback?
Yeah.
Wow.
You're gonna learn his name. You're gonna learn his name, but
wow.
You call him whatever you want right now. when he starts throwing
wow,
Thorin and Doxson and the tight end running the ball real tough, you gonna learn his name.
Wow. I'm surprised by that one. That came out of nowhere. The Washington Commanders to make the NFC playoffs? over the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, over the Green Bay Packers.
Over the Detroit Lions.
Over the Detroit Lions.
Yeah. Over the New Orleans Saints.
Over the New Orleans Saints. Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah, I mean, you might as well say the Carolina Panthers.
I mean, they're, I wouldn't sleep on them too tough, Wow. Don't take too long of a nap on the Panthers. They're not bad. But yeah. Rest of those teams in the NFC are sorry, man.
Wow. The Washington Redskins. Or excuse me, the Commanders. Oof. Maggie Johnson is sure happy to hear that.
For sure.
To hear that breakdown. Fans, well, there you heard it. Just to recap, in the AFC, filling out the AFC playoff roster, I have the Dolphins, the Chargers, and the Ravens making the playoff. Cleveland and I agree on one of the three teams in the AFC making the playoffs. He has the Bills and the Steelers rounding out the playoff teams. These are non-division winners. The non-division winners for the AFC, Cleveland agree on two of the three teams with the Seahawks and the Cowboys getting into the playoffs. I have Green Bay, Jordan Love leading this team to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And who's the quarterback of the Washington Commanders?
Thurston B. Howell III's grandson, Sam Howell.
Who's a running back? Can you name a running back for the Washington Commanders? Just one.
At present, it's Mr. Gibson, but again, trades can happen. So,
my goodness, and they do have your boy Is Young going to be back this year, playing with some intensity and some fight.
Chase is on a prove it to me type of year, so we'll see what he really truly is all about.
My goodness, that's pretty interesting, fans. So there you go. There's your playoff teams for. If you're listening and watching the show, you can go to Vegas with these numbers. Two of the three teams are going to make the AFC NFC playoffs. Cleveland and I agree, and we only have one team, and that's the Baltimore Ravens that we agree that's going to make one of the three open spots, non-division winners.
Because as I recall, on your list, you don't have the. Do you have the Jets making the playoffs? You don't have them, right?
I do not have Aaron Rodgers and the Jets making the playoffs. I do not. I repeat, I do not.
Fans, we have our first elbow of the year. Our first elbow of the NFL season. You put an elbow on the Jets not making the playoffs?
I got an elbow on the Jets not making the playoffs. Man. This is going to be.
Please, I'm going to write this down.
This is going to be the easiest meal. This is going to be the easiest meal I have.
Making playoffs. Oh, boy. Fans, I might be grubbing by week 12 or 13. It may not even need to get all the way till the end of the season. It's just going to be like, oh, wow. When you look at the divisions on the website, it just has the X by it because you're already in. Yeah, it's going to be. Fans, I don't know what this dude is thinking. Thinking the Jets ain't gonna make the playoffs. My goodness.
Clearly, you bought into this Aaron Rodgers.
I bought into the circus. Yeah, for sure. I bought into the circus.
Clearly, you bought into it. There it is, right there.
Oh, okay, man. Oh, wow, you done put it on print and everything. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Clearly, yeah. Fans, you guys see it right there.
The first of many elbows.
Man.
Fans.
Again, I don't know. Oh, you got me speechless. So you got me speechless over here.
First of many.
You got me speechless over here saying that. Okay. Well, there you have it there, fans. There you guys have it there. There's an NBA or NFL topic for this segment here this week, 254 version of the Voice of the Fans podcast, and there's the first elbow of the season right there. Ding, 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 ding. Comes before we even see legitimate NFL action. We get it on the table. Cleveland, so let's jump into some NBA topics. Your guy Harden is apparently been fined $100,000 for tampering or for saying he refusing to play with the organization, kind of creating a turmoil. Obviously, the $100,000 is kind of chump change for these guys. What is the end resolution for James Harden and the Philadelphia 76ers? Is he forced to play there another season? Will he be traded by the trade deadline? What's your thoughts on how this is going to go for the James Harden and the 76ers?
I think ultimately he's going to end up with the Los Angeles Clippers. Cam, he's
you hoping for that.
He's proving that if he is an unhappy player, that he will make the rest of the team miserable. They have the MVP of the league in Joel Embiid. You can only rub that dude the wrong way for so long, and then you have to go. So he's already, he's a master of this. You know what I'm saying?
Cleveland, for a guy who doesn't want to play with the league MVP, why would anybody want that guy on the team? Why would not only the guy, he legitimately got traded out of OKC, he had nothing to do with that. Forced his way out of Houston, forced his way out of Brooklyn. Now he's trying to force his way out of Philadelphia, playing with the league's MVP. Mm-hmm. Why would anybody in the NBA want that guy on his team?
Anybody? Well, because he led the league in assists. 3 or 4 years ago, he was the MVP of the league. He's capable of averaging anywhere from, at this point in his career, probably, 22 to 27 points a game. You want that kind of productivity. You want that type of player that can get to the line and can convert. So
since they stopped calling foul for players blowing on players beyond the free throw line, James Harden hasn't gotten to the line with the same proclivity that he once did. So, I mean, that's a false narrative that you just gave.
That's fine. He still gets fouled. He still gets to the line. Maybe not as much as he did in his prime, but that's still one of the strengths of his game.
Teaming him with Kawhi and Paul George. Mm-hmm. You're not expecting 25 to 27 points a game.
No, you don't have to with that collection of talent. You can just distribute and just be there when the moment calls for it.
And has he shown that he's ready to be there and step up when the moment calls for it? Have you seen that in his career?
As a third option, he certainly proved that in OKC. Now, when you try and make him the focal point, it's a little bit different. Or the second guy. Even last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, he went off for 40 plus that first game. He won that one. Game 7.
It took him 2 weeks. It took him 2 weeks to recover from that game and have another game, another similar type of game. In what was it? Game 5,
4, 5. Yeah.
And then that was it. But Cleveland, you mentioned something very key. In the clutch moments when you need him, he scored 7 points in the game 7.
Yeah, I don't have the stats
how many assists
right here up in front of me, but
Okay, but you knew that he scored 40 points. You knew 40 points, though. You knew that. You didn't have to look anywhere.
That was that first game. That was that 40 plus. He went off. They won that game. That was a great game. So
But what happened in game 7 when they needed him? When there was pressure on the team when they needed him? What happened in that game?
Not his best performance. I think he will even tell you that. Not his best performance.
And that's what you say the Clippers need. You see, fans, you see how
the Clippers need someone to take a little bit of the pressure off.
You see how hypocritical this guy is. You see,
the Clippers need somebody to take the pressure off of Kawhi and Paul. It's too much pressure on them to have to do all the stuff all the time. And plus,
you're turning to James Harden. You're turning to James Harden
off injured. So when one or the other, or sometimes even both of them, are hurt, you're gonna need somebody to come in and fill that void. And I think James Harden is that guy.
How did the Russell Westbrook and James Harden combination work? How did that work in Houston for you? You saw it.
Well, we're not,
you saw it.
Russell Westbrook may not, be one of the people that's, fits into the fold. He may have to come to Philly. He may be part of that trade.
Cleveland, you just want to, you can't wait to just shoot barrel holes the size of barrels in the Los Angeles Clippers ship, huh? You just want anything to bring those guys down, just make them rudderless and fill it with water. Anything to bring those guys down.
How is that making them rudderless? Adding James Harden to their squad
because he's not a winner.
Perennial all-star. He's
not a winner. He does not play winning basketball. We've seen it year in, year out.
The only person on the Los Angeles Clippers that has ever played winning basketball is Kawhi Leonard. He's the only one on that team that has ever won a championship. Paul George has come up short with the Pacers and the Clippers and the Thunder. Who else on that team are you looking at as a winner?
The head coach, number one. We can start there.
Oh,
we
okay.
can start there with the head coach.
Has
James Harden? You mentioned you bring up James Harden like he's been playing winning basketball.
Has he? He's been in numerous game 7s.
Has he won any of those game 7s?
No, not to this point. But maybe if you put him in the right environment with a player the caliber of a Kawhi Leonard and a Paul George, these things can happen for him.
How you think he'll play with the other team in LA? How do you think that would fare?
We don't need him. We don't need him.
Oh, you see, he'd rather go with a guy like Austin Reeves, who's been in the league 3 years. You rather go with a guy like Austin Reeves than James Harden. Well, all that you talked about James Harden being a perennial all-star, a former league MVP. You rather go with
Cam. We've been down that road already, Cam. We've already been down that road with that Clipper Russell Westbrook. It didn't work out well. It was a chemistry killer, and right now the chemistry is gelling quite nicely in the Crib House. So bringing somebody in with a beard, and plus there's just too many other off the court distractions when the Lakers play in the Crib House, adverse when the Clippers play in the Crib House. The Kardashians come out, the Serenas come out, the Hadids come out. It's a different type of environment. And that James is not good with that. James isn't good with that.
So he's good enough for the Clippers, but not the Lakers.
Correct.
You guys see how hypocritical this dude is.
That's very correct.
The same playing in the same arena, the same city. He wouldn't have to change. He didn't even have to change the address on the GPS on game night. You go to the same building.
Same building.
In the city he grew up in, but somehow he putting on the purple and gold.
It's vastly different. It's vastly different. Ask Russell Westbrook. Next time you're out there in LA doing interviews, ask him what is the difference playing with the Lakers as it is playing with the Clippers. Ask him about that straight up, just in his face.
Oh my goodness. I can't with this guy. I cannot. Fans, do you guys hear this mess? Somehow, so how is it that he's going to succeed, James Harden? We're still talking about with the Clippers again. Help me out. How is it?
He's going to facilitate that offense because he led the league in assists. Okay, it's going to get the people in the right position.
Anthony Davis can't use that
and make the proper pass. Okay,
Anthony Davis can't use that. LeBron can't use somebody helping him get him the ball.
Now they got players that can do that. So. And LeBron is basically the the point forward anyways. So with the Clippers, Zubac, what's my man's name? Batum, you know what I'm saying? Get him some open shots. You know what I'm saying? What's your guy?
Oh my goodness gracious.
What's your guy? Bones Highland. Get him some open looks. You know what I'm saying? Get Bones Highland some open looks.
I cannot with this. I cannot with this guy. He can't even say this. He can't even say this with a straight face. That James Harden joining the Clippers is a good decision. He can't even keep a straight face saying this.
That's good.
He can't even say this with a straight face.
And plus, when those guys are hurt, if they don't play a full season, he can interject himself into the lineup.
Oh my goodness, you ought to quit it, man. You ought to quit it. You ought to quit it. Speaking of your boy LeBron, now we heard going back to the 2008 Olympics, how much he and D Wade were like brothers and kindred relationships, and they formulated the big three and D Wade and Bosh and LeBron down there in South Beach, and D Wade essentially gave LeBron the winning pedigree that he needed to go on and win championships. Essentially. So why do you think it was that LeBron elected not to show up at Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame ceremony?
Oh man, I have no idea. Sometimes these scheduling conflicts happen.
Conflicts, he says. Sometimes
scheduling conflicts happen. I don't think it was anything personal. I think he might be reading a little bit too much into that. And if it was, sometimes people grow apart over the years. That happens all the time in sports.
He gave me fans scheduling conflicts and growing apart. Is this the same guy who was on the banana boat some years ago?
Sure was.
And he doesn't show.
Maybe him and Gabrielle Union don't get along that well. I don't really know the full story. I don't know the full story. But I'm not going to sit here and speculate as to why LeBron wasn't at the Hall of Fame induction. Could be any number of reasons. I don't know if you heard his son was having some health problems himself, so maybe he had to stay back with the fam. I don't know, Cam. Don't get me to speculate. Don't get me to speculating on why LeBron James wasn't at the thing. I don't know.
It was seen in Akron the very next day, driving around singing rap music songs on his IG.
Again, I don't know. I don't know what caused him to not be there.
Oh, so this is it's how convenient is this just to sweep this right under the bridge, like it's nothing, huh?
It's not a big deal until you make it a big deal. Right now, it's not a big deal. Have you heard D Wade come out and say, "Man, I sure was upset and heard that LeBron wasn't at my ceremony." Seems a little disrespectful. Did you hear Dwayne Wade say that?
You nor I believe that Dwayne Wade would ever say something like that.
I believe Dwayne Wade is perfectly capable of speaking his mind. He's a Hall of Famer, quite possibly the greatest shooting guard in the history of the NBA. So why wouldn't he speak his mind if he was upset about something? He speaks his mind about whatever he's passionate about. He's not ashamed to let the public know how he feels.
Listen to this guy. Listen to this guy. Just cape up for LeBron. What kind of what's your cape?
All I'm saying is I don't know, and I can't speculate as to why LeBron James wasn't at the Hall of Fame ceremony. And you trying to stir the pot up.
I'm asking a question.
Instigate something.
I'm asking a question. Why do you think this was?
You're trying to make it a point that LeBron was selfish for not being at the award ceremony.
Oh, is that selfish? I never said anything at the start. I never said anything. I never said
disrespectful. That is exactly what you were insinuating. Why you keep asking me the question then?
I just want to get because you're a fan of the Kang.
Okay, but you keep asking me the same question over and over again, as if him being there has some type of significance or is making some type of statement. So, what type of statement do you think
him not being there? Him not being there,
right?
Makes some kind of a statement.
What type of statement do you think that's making?
I mean, you guys want to praise the kid for being a team player all his life, and this is showing that he's maybe not the team player that you guys suspect he is, because it was not all about him. He don't want to show up to the ceremony because he would have made it all about him. D Wade, come on, man, you can't discount what D Wade did for LeBron James, are you? You're not going to discount. You're not going to discount how he made LeBron James, got him the first championship, are you? You're not going to discount the confidence that Dwayne Wade, the NBA champion, and what you call him, quite possibly the third greatest shooting forward in the NBA. You're not going to discount how he instilled confidence in LeBron James to help him and earn a first championship, are you?
No, none of those things.
Because if it's not for Dwayne Wade, does LeBron win that championship against OKC?
Quite possibly, no.
So what was so critical?
Cam, I am not in that man's schedule book. I don't have his Google calendar open. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what he was doing or not doing.
Okay. So you don't find it interesting. There's no comment, nothing to see here. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying I don't know, Cam. I don't know until somebody comes out and says, "Man, they got into a fight about some stuff the other day, and that's why LeBron wasn't there." LeBron didn't feel that Dwayne Wade or felt like Dwayne Wade disrespected him when he broke the scoring record. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not in their business like that, Cam.
Wow. Interesting. Interesting how you're trying to throw up a shield for your guy LeBron James. And since you brought it up, I do remember seeing pictures of LeBron James, pictures of Dwayne Wade at the game that LeBron James broke the NBA scoring record when it was all about him. But since the night's not all about him, he decides not to show up.
Cam, did you ever think that maybe he wanted the day to be all about D Wade, and if he was there, oh boy, it would just distract.
Oh boy,
from the moment.
Oh, you see, fans. Here we go. Now him showing up. He wanted to make it all about Dwayne Wade by not showing up. Him showing up
could be.
Oh my goodness.
Could be.
Gracious. You guys hear this? You guys hear this guy?
Could be. I don't know what the reason is, Cam. But I'm not just automatic. I'm just not going to automatically say it was out of disrespect.
So this controversy that's been bubbling up apparently about Magic Johnson versus Stephen Curry as the best point guard of all time. I mean, is there a debate in your mind of who's the better point guard of all time is? Steph Curry or Magic Johnson? Is there a debate?
It's debatable. I'm on the Steph Curry side of things right now.
You are on the Steph Curry side of things.
Yeah.
Interesting. For somebody who first likes to look at rings and saying if you ain't got the ring, we can't have the conversation. Who has more rings, Steph Curry or Magic Johnson?
It's 5-4.
Who has more rings? I didn't ask what the count was.
Madge has more rings, 5-4.
So, So you said now Magic this might be the first time you're going with the guy with the lesser amount of rings as a better player. You want to explain that to the fans?
Just his impact on the game.
Well, hold on. The impact on the game. I told you 2 weeks ago that Steph Curry had a bigger impact on the NBA, and you argue with me for 2 hours about that. Shut me down. Now you're going to say Steph Curry has a bigger impact than Magic Johnson? Is this where we're going?
At the point guard position, yes.
Oh, you're trying to limit it to the point guard position.
Yeah, I'm limiting it to the point guard position.
How many triple doubles Steph Curry got?
Like 6. 6 or 7.
And who made the triple double? What it's become?
Oscar Robertson.
Oscar Robertson. He made the triple doubles. Who revolutionized the triple double before Russell Westbrook averaged a triple double for 3 seasons in a row?
That was Magic Johnson for sure, and then Jason Kidd followed him. So yeah.
So how did Steph Curry revolutionize the position exactly?
His ability to consistently shoot from 40 feet out.
Cleveland, I gave you the same argument 2 months ago, and you shot me down at every turn. Now you're saying Magic Johnson. This is funny. This is funny to me. Now you're saying Steph Curry had more influence on the game than Magic Johnson. Is that what you're telling me? At the point
guard position.
All right. So if a guy comes out and says, I mean, wow, I'm blown away right now. If the GOAT comes out and chimes in on this debate and say it's Magic over Curry, what's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, Michael's been out the game a long, long time. He's got a tremendous amount of respect for his dream team teammate and Magic, and that's very it's adorable, really, because Michael really doesn't ever come down from Mount Olympus to endorse anybody. So the mere fact that he decided to chime in on this one is pretty extraordinary. However, it doesn't change who's the better point guard. And fans, by the way, Magic is one of my favorites. I have a Magic Johnson jersey hanging in my closet. I don't have a Steph Curry, and we'll never get a Steph Curry. But I do have an East Lansing, Michigan State emerald green. It's pretty dope. But yeah, don't take this as like I don't like Magic or that I'm disrespecting him whatsoever. It's Earvin Magic Johnson, 6'9", point guard. Hasn't been one before, hasn't been one since. However, Steph Curry.
However, go ahead. Explain it. However,
Steph Curry and his ability to shoot from 40 feet out consistently has changed the game.
Cleveland, this is so when the guy the greatest ever to play the game speaks on it, you still want to give no reverence to him. He gets no reverence. Is this what you're telling me?
Yeah, it's by no means a blowout. Okay, it's not like it's not an argument. Like I said, it certainly is an argument, and I could see it from both sides. I am just saying that when I say that and see that, I still think that it's Steph Curry.
What's the purpose of the point guard? What in your opinion, if you're crafting a team, and when you think, what's your definition of a point guard? Is it somebody who shoots from 40 feet out? Is it somebody? What's your definition of a point guard?
Cam, the responsibilities of a point guard have changed dramatically. It used to be just.
No, I'm asking you. I'm asking young Sam.
Okay.
If you're crafting a team, when PG goes up there, what's your definition of a point guard? What type of player are you looking for to define your point guard role?
Someone that can, stretch the court, someone that can keep the defense honest, and someone that can get his teammates involved when he has the opportunity to do so.
Has anybody got his teammates involved better than Magic Johnson?
No.
So he wins in the three definitions you gave of the point guard. He wins in that category. You say stretch.
No. He wins in the category of getting his teammates involved.
Right. Yeah. You broke it down. I just heard three different ways you broke it down. Somebody who stretched the floor. That's what you said. Where it was number one. Get to the players involved was number three. What was the other one you gave us?
One more time.
You said you want somebody. Number one, you want to be able to stretch the floor, right? What was number two?
They have to have the ability to score.
To score, okay, and then you want them to get your players, get everybody involved.
Correct.
So nobody got their players involved better than Magic, right?
No.
Did Steph Curry scores better than Magic? Okay, stretching the floor, obviously, because he's shooting from 40 feet out. He's doing that better than Magic. He does that better than anybody in the league. And it's odd that when I use that same definition as a guy who had more impact on basketball, you try to bury me under the ground when I said that, because he shoots the ball from 40 feet out. He has a better impact on the ball, but you buried me for that. But you want your point guard. So being a floor general is irrelevant to you. That doesn't matter to you.
No, it's important. It's just not the focal point of being a point guard in 2023. That's just not a thing. I mean, that's just not the thing anymore.
That's not the thing anymore. So being a floor general, like say Chris Paul, is not important to you.
It's helpful, but you have to have those other things as well. The responsibilities of a point guard have evolved.
It's evolved. Why though, Cleveland? It's evolved. Why?
Because the game's evolved. Because the game's evolved.
Because the game's evolved. And who helped the game evolve?
Lots of players helped the game evolve. To where it is.
Lots of players. See, lots of players. He remembers that conversation. He refused to admit that somebody was singularly involved with making the game evolve.
I mean, the King has done quite a few things. You're right.
He's not what I was talking about. He's not who I was talking about.
Sorry.
But when Michael Jordan chimes in and try to clear up the debate, 5 rings to 4. Cleveland, you always been a rings guy. You can't take that away. You cannot take that away from fans today and say rings aren't important. Rings were critical or aren't as critical anymore, fans, because you would be totally just disingenuous if you ever try to say to me or anybody who listened to the Voice of the Fans podcast for 2 shows in their lifetime for you to say rings are not critical.
And I'm not saying that now. It's 5-4. I mean, Steph is 1 short of a platinum fist.
He's won what?
He's 1 ring short of a platinum fist.
So that means he's short. He's not there quite yet.
Not there quite yet.
But you want to give him credit for being there because you want to give him credit for being close enough and not getting there.
Nope.
That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like.
The question was, who is the better point guard?
Yeah.
That was the question. It was not who has more rings at the point guard position. That wasn't the question.
No, I understand what I know. I asked the question. I know what the question was.
Okay, well, then why you just trying to? Why you keep addressing me like you didn't know what the question was?
I know exactly what the question was.
I asked the question.
I asked the question.
Yeah, it's 5-4. I got that already. I gave you that already.
But I'm trying to highlight the fact that rings has always been a deciding factor for you. However, this time you choose for it not to be, and I just find it kind of the fans aren't chiming in. The fans aren't here to. I'm speaking for the fans. They're not here to correct you on this issue. Yeah, SB, exactly, SB, exactly. He's not going to give us that answer, SB. He's not going to give us. He's not going to give us
like 6 or 7. Maybe not even that many. How many times does he average 10 assists? Once or twice.
Okay, but that's not important to you? All of a sudden, that's not important to you?
It's not integral to how the point guard position is played these days.
How is it not
as
integral?
As it was in the 80s. We just talked about your guy, James Harden, leading the league in assists, and you don't want him for a bag of Cheetos, man, over there in Clipper land.
Yeah.
How come?
No, because his performance in clutch moments is less than ideal. The stats and
certainly his stats would say that he's more than an upgrade at the point guard position to what you have now, wouldn't you say?
Not particularly.
Oh, he's not an upgrade from Russell Westbrook. Oh, okay, cool.
His performance in clutch moments,
as opposed to Russell Westbrook's. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Russell Westbrook is not even in the conversation. His performance in clutch moments is not ideal. It's not who I want on the team. I haven't seen where that's valuable on the team. I haven't seen where that really helps anybody out. Have you? Have you seen where that helps anybody out? Because to me, he hasn't showed up on the big stage. That's to me. Okay, so let's just look at this real quick. Let's just to answer SB's question. Let's look at this. So we have 1983, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91.
What happened in all those years, Cam?
9 out of Magic Johnson's 12 years has he averaged over double digits. And only in 82, 83 was he at 10. The rest of these seasons are 11, 12, 11.9, 12.8, 11.5, 12.5, 12.2, 12.6, 13 and 84 assists for Magic Johnson. So 9 out of 12 years. Just keep that number in mind, fans. Keep that number in mind, okay?
Okay.
So he said he was getting somebody involved is kind of the critical thing, one of the critical factors that Cleveland has given us. But he doesn't want to say let's just see. Let's just look at this number real quick. Let's just fans, just for grins and goggles. Cleveland, what's your off the top of your head? How many times has Steph Curry led the league in assists?
Never.
Interesting. How many years has Steph Curry had over double digits assists in his career?
2.
2? You think 2, huh? How many years has Steph Curry had averaged 12 assists a game in a season?
Never.
Cleveland, Steph Curry in 2013-14 was his best assist season at 8.5 a game. That's his best season. And you want to compare that to a guy who averaged passing the ball, the best passer ever in the game, quite possibly?
One of, yes.
Who's a better passer than Magic Johnson?
Hard to say. I'm not going to go through the entire.
You act like there's a list. You act like there's a long list of better passers.
Pantheon of point guards that have passed the.
You act like there's a list out there. When you say plenty.
How many times did Mads go 50, 40, 90 again?
Sadly, you're wrong, Cleveland. Sadly, you're wrong.
Has Mads ever gone 50, 40, 90?
Yeah, that probably not, but that's a shooting stat.
Okay.
Yeah, look that one
up. Who's the all-time 3-point maker in history of the game?
Yeah, that's because the guy has the ultraviolet green light.
How many times has Magic Johnson led the league in scoring?
Do you want your point guard to lead the league in scoring?
You're okay with it. Before it wasn't a prerequisite, but it's certainly icing on the cake if you have that.
No, you don't want James Harden leading the league in scoring.
James Harden has led the league in scoring before.
That's not. Where did that get you?
Got them to the I think the Western Conference Finals.
And a collapse.
And it's in the Western Conference, so that's still quite an accomplishment. So.
Man, what a Cleveland fans chime in. Let the fans know where they can find you, so they can get at you.
Wonder on X and Cleveland Still on Instagram.
Oh, you converted over to X, huh?
I guess I keep getting all these things that say X. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever.
Dennis Rodman names the 3 toughest players he's faced in his career. Can you guess who they were? You want to take a guess at who they were?
The 3 toughest players that Dennis Rodman has ever had to guard. Larry Bird.
He's not on the list. Good point, SB. One-dimensional shooting guard masquerading as a point guard. He's more of a shooting guard, but that's how the game has evolved to Cleveland point. That is how the game has evolved. He's more of a shooting guard than a point guard. Has the ball in his hands.
So Larry Bird's not on his list. Is Michael Jordan on his list?
Michael Jordan is not on his list.
Michael Jordan is not on his list. Larry Bird's not on his list. Okay. Karl Malone on his list?
Karl Malone is on his list.
Okay. Karl Malone's on his list. Is Is James Worthy on his list?
James Worthy is on his list.
Okay, so I got 2. I'm missing 1.
Yep, missing 1.
Is Scott Pippen on his list?
Scottie Pippen is not on his list.
Scott didn't make the cut.
You know he didn't give him Pippen credit for that.
Well, he played with those guys. I thought they buried the hatchet, but okay.
Yeah, he's not giving Scott Pippen no, Magic Jordan or Michael Jordan no.
Clyde Drexler.
Come on now, no, and Charles Barkley would be the last guy on that.
Charles Barkley, okay, that's legit.
Charles Barkley would be on the last. James Worthy, Charles Barkley, and Karl Malone. That's an interesting list for because I'm with you. He left Michael off the list, which seems kind of weird, but okay.
Well, I guess because he could just push those guys into the backstop when he was playing on them, so not quite as easy, not quite as difficult to guard those two. So can't really be pushing Charles Barkley and Worthy and Chuck Wagon around. So, but
I just see Malone and Barkley. I get it. Worthy's toughness. It had to be more of a mentality and not the on the court play. I'm gonna say that. What do you think about that?
Oh no, I think the spin move was devastating, and the face up was equally as tough. I mean, and plus, people forget how he's 6'9" in his damn self, so that's not an easy stop.
I think Worthy benefited a lot from playing with that supreme point guard. I think Worthy benefited a whole lot from playing with that other guy. Mac McClung, 2023 Slam Dunk champion, agrees to a partial deal with the Orlando Magic. What's your thoughts on McClung?
I have no thoughts on that.
No thoughts on him.
He's a great dunker. I mean, I don't know how that really translates into, making the team or making.
You don't think Paulo can get him? You don't think Paulo can get some open shots?
Oh, I have no idea.
No disrespect from Worthy. Come on, I'm just saying. I think Worthy benefited from a lot of magic. He had the finals. He killed it that 1 year in the finals, but he still benefited from Kareem being on the team, from Magic being on the team. He was like the third fiddle who just took advantage of his opportunity, right? You can't say I'm disrespecting the guy. You gotta show up, and he took advantage of the opportunity when it was there. But he was the third fiddle, right? I mean, right?
I'm picking the draft, my dude.
But did they go into the game plan saying we gotta stop Worthy?
Yeah.
Or did they say we gotta stop Kareem and Magic? Come on,
gotta stop Kareem and Worthy. Stopping Magic offensively. No one ever said that.
You dissing Magic and
I'm not dissing Magic. You just said the same way you're not dissing Worthy. I'm not dissing Magic.
But you had to stop Magic in the sense that you couldn't just let him get everybody else involved. In that sense, you can't let him. You wanted, to your point, you wanted to force Magic to score. You wanted to force Magic to shoot, because if he started doing that, he's not getting everybody else involved. But I think that Worthy was third on that list, and I'm not. Correct me where I'm wrong.
Pretty good number 3, and I again.
Yeah, he was damn good number 3. Don't get me wrong.
I think from a scoring perspective, number 2 on that team.
SB, I feel you, big dog. Appreciate you chiming in. All right, fans, let's take a little break here. When we come back, we're going to have finish up the show with This Week in History. We're going to talk about Sha'Carri Richardson and track and field, some track and field events. See if Cleveland ever caught this. And the Messi Mania. Are you caught up to Messi Mania yet?
Not quite just yet, but I'm getting there.
I mean, I don't know what you're waiting on. The kid has got 27 goals now. They've got 27 points the team has since he's been on the team. I don't know what the heck you're waiting on. So we can talk to Messi Mania. And fans, what do you know? What do you know? One of the hottest teams in baseball right now, 8-2 in their last 10 games. The Mariners, what did the Mariners do tonight? Did they win tonight? No, they had a heartbreaking loss.
Sure was. It was
had a heartbreaking loss. Maybe we can get Cleveland to talk about what happened tonight for the Seattle Mariners. They're playing the White Sox, if I remember correctly.
You remember correctly, yes.
So let's see if Cleveland can break this down. Let's take a quick break here, fans. And we'll come back and we get to the last segment of the show.
Am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name
Cameron.
is
Cam Buford.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
There's always room for improvement.
This is a big, big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
As a competitor, how much does that competitive spirit get in there and say, I want to fight this guy? I want to get some of this guy.
Of course, I want to fight all the guys. Of course, that. But at the same time, like I keep telling you, it's a business.
Talk about that loyalty for a moment. I'm staying there to try to make a change. Give back to the youth, give back to my community and show them that there is hope that you can make it out. Only thing is you just got to be dedicated. You got to keep your head down and stay on this course that you're heading towards.
Think about it like this. The promoter pays the fighter. The fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter. The fighter works
for the promoter. Okay.
If you can see, you can believe.
So you are lifting weights currently?
When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with them?
To me, it's easy to score all over the world.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show voice of the fan,
oh my goodness,
continues to evolve.
You were adding some spice to it.
It is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
The real ones know what's going on, right?
Like you said, Pacific Northwest. So, I think it's a big part of my game. And every time I step on the floor, I just want to represent myself.
You play this game and you don't turn to win a championship, then why are you playing for?
I'm happy for the Mariners. I'm happy
Yeah,
for the
nobody.
Never mind.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
You look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's the big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sports. Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do.
Yeah, fan. Thank you guys for tuning in for Voice of the Fans podcast. We appreciate you guys each and every week for tuning in. Appreciate your comments. Those of you chiming in on the text thread, we appreciate that as well. Fans, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the show, whether you're watching us on H&B Media TV or you're watching us on Voice of the Fans on YouTube. Subscribe to the show. Leave a comment. Hit the thumbs up button. That doesn't cost you guys anything but a couple moments. Hit that thumb button. Subscribe to the show. Hit that bell to make sure you guys get the notifications when we go on live. And let us know what you think of the show. Let us know what do you think of that montage there of some of the hysterical moments I've had as a sports writer out in Los Angeles. Give me your thoughts on that as well. And then I'd also like to know, fans, where you watching the show at? Are you guys at work? Are you guys is this you're working out while you're listening to the show? You're watching the show? Where are you guys tuning in from? Are you tuning in from the West Coast? Are you tuning in from the East Coast? Are you down south? Where are you guys at? Those are a couple questions I got for you. So don't mean to give you guys homework, but let us know. I just want to know who the fans are of the show, and want to know where you guys are reaching out from so I can talk to you guys specifically. Again, I appreciate you guys for chiming in each and every week. We appreciate the love. But where are you watching the show? Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. It helps us out on the algorithms. Trying to get this show propped up everywhere, guys. So do that for us. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. And then leave a comment. We appreciate it. Thank you, guys. thank you in advance. And in turn, I'm gonna keep giving you guys fresh content each and every week. We do our Sunday special, but the Sunday special, I don't know if I can get my man out of the bed at 7 or 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning here in the next couple of weeks, because it's gonna be. We got NFL season coming around the corner. We've been doing it to kind of keep you guys fresh and give you some content throughout the NFL season, but it's been 1 o'clock, right, Cleveland? Well, 1 o'clock for me, 11 o'clock for you. The games are going to be starting at 10 o'clock for you on the West Coast. It's noon for me here on the East Coast, or on the Central, if you will. I really thought this was the East Coast before I got here. I didn't realize it was Central Standard Time. But yeah, if we were to do a show, which I doubt is going to happen, if we were to do a show, it'd have to start at 10 o'clock. It would have to start at 10 o'clock before a pregame show. Maybe a post-game show could be in the discussions. I don't know. I'm going to have to send Cleveland a contract to get him to sign up for a post-game show. I don't know how that's going to work, because that's going to be prime time, West Coast time. That's going to be, 4 or 5 o'clock? I mean, that's going to be a tough mark in between that late afternoon game and that night game. Again, for me, the timing kind of works out, but I don't know. Maybe I have to get some contract and have my lawyers talk to his lawyers and get that contract going. And I don't know. Can we wake you up at 8 in the morning?
Oh boy, Cam. We'll have to do some logistics on that. Probably closer to the 9 o'clock. Probably closer to that 9:45, something like that. Maybe. We'll figure that out.
We're gonna have to have a further discussions on that one, fans. But until for the next couple of weeks, at least, you will get a Sunday special. Probably right up until Labor Day, you will get a Sunday special from us. And again, that's just to bring you guys fresh content, some off the record topics. Like I was hit over the head so hard, I was taken to the mat by some new listeners last week when I gave my. I tried to give it a top 10, but I gave honorable mention on. I had 27 names on my honorable mention list, and that wasn't enough. People kept wanting to expand my honorable mention. I said I was giving you a top 10, and I actually gave you 27 different names of hip hop artists, and people said I left somebody off the list. I mean, you're always going to leave somebody off the list. So what I did, I committed to do a top 40 list for this Sunday on a Sunday special. I'm giving you guys a heads up. I committed to do a top 40 hip hop artists for this Sunday. And it's going to be interesting because Snoop was not in my top 27. Snoop was not. And I even had oddly enough, I had somebody send me a couple verses over this week of, look, you left this dude off the list. What could you possibly be thinking about? I mean, it was some tight verses too that I was like, okay. And I don't know why Lil Wayne keep coming up in my time feed as well, but some of Wayne's, some of Lil Wayne's hottest tracks kept popping up in my feed as well. I'm not sure how that happened, but people have been hitting me up all week long with corrections for my top 40 list. And again, fans, you guys just gonna have to tune in to see where Snoop falls in the top 40, if at all. You're gonna have to tune in to see where Snoop falls into my top 40 list. But it was weird. I had 27 names. I started off saying I'm giving you guys a top 10, and I had 27 names mentioned, and then people still were coming at me. So that's interesting. So look forward this week in a Sunday special. One of the topics is going to be my top 40 hip-hop artists, considering this is hip-hop 50th anniversary. I have to break it down. Cleveland, what do you guys say, man? I know you itching to say something.
No. There's something between you and Calvin. I don't know what it is.
No, I'm telling you, I don't got no problem with him. I'm just saying. There's no problem.
I could tell it's in there somewhere. Something happened, and you're just not gonna be forthcoming about it, and that's your business. But it's clearly
I got him on my opening feed. If there was something personal, he wouldn't be on my opening feed. It wouldn't be on my Voice of the Fans opening if there was something there. There's nothing there, I promise you, except other than we stayed in to record the video It was
Okay.
12 hours. A
If
12-hour.
if you're still mad about the 12, I don't think Snoop had anything to do with that. But
I mean,
if you're still
they had
mad about
everything to
that
do with
and
that.
holding,
It took-
and holding a grudge over that, then I mean, you should probably let that go by now.
I mean, there's no grudge. I'm just saying. I mean, it was a long day, and then when I finally seen the video, it was used like 6 seconds of that day. That whole day, they used like 6 seconds in the video.
Okay, well, again, I would think you'd be more upset with Dr. Dre over that than Snoop, but something happened. Something happened, fans. He's just not saying.
So, fans, let's get into this here. This week in history, each and every week, man, we want to talk. I like playing the numbers game. You guys aren't going to get that from anywhere else. You guys aren't going to get this week in history segment from anywhere else. Also, introducing once in a couple of weeks, I'm going to introduce a segment, which the segment of positivity. Some of you guys may know my whole platform was What's Good in Sports, where I wanted to talk about how athletes are giving back to their community, how athletes are ingratiating themselves within their community. So we'll start a new segment once the football season starts of the I don't know. I have to come up with a better name of it, but right now it's just going to talk about what's good in sports, and it's going to shout out some of those athletes or people who are doing good things in sports to giving back to their community involving sports. So that's going to be a new segment for the show. But again, as I mentioned, nobody else is going to give you guys a number game. Nobody else is giving you this week in history. Nobody else is giving you a quote and closing the show out with a quote each and every week. So thank you guys for being part of the show. This week in history, Cleveland. August 23rd, 1908 was the start of the National Association of Colored Nurses. 1908, National Association of Colored Nurses. August 23, 1917, the first black person admitted into University of Mississippi, 1917, first black person admitted to the University of Mississippi, James Meredith. 1950, August 24, Edith Sampson became first African-American appointed as representative of the United Nations. August 23, a race riot in Houston began between two soldiers of the 21st Infantry regime and white citizens. 2 blacks and 11 whites are killed in an ensuing melee. August 22, 1989. I didn't realize this was so late, 89. Black Panther co-founder Huey P. Newton was shot to death in Oakland, California. I didn't realize that was in 89. August 27, 1985. Nigerian government was peacefully overthrown by Army Chief of Staff Major General Abraham butcher this Bagbanani, but peacefully overthrow. I thought that was interesting. Is there ever been a peaceful overthrowing of the government?
No, those two don't really go together.
August 27, 2008, the Democratic National Convention made Senator Barack Obama the first African-American ever nominated by a majority party as the party's presidential candidate. That was in 2008. August 27. August 23, man, it was a busy month. August was a lot of stuff went down. August 28, 1963, Martin Luther King delivers his signature "I Have a Dream" speech at the Lincoln Memorial in 1963. Cleveland, just a side note on this. Today we have social media. Like I can send the link out. I can send the link out to hundreds of thousands of people to join the podcast, right? I can send you a link that you can share with your friends and your network of 100,000 people to be a part of the podcast. So we can do that via social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever other methods there are. But to get 300,000 people to converge on Washington, D.C. in 1963, do you know the footwork, the legwork that took? Can you imagine the effort that went on to planning that for not next month. That had to be years in the making, right? At least 9 months in the making, if not a full year in the making. Are you aware of that? I mean, that's something that people today, we just probably overlook it. We got social media. We can reach hundreds of thousands of people in moments, right? But they had the legwork they had to do for Martin Luther King to get 300,000 people there. Martin Luther King for that I Have a Dream speech. You have to applaud that. You have to applaud those efforts, don't you?
Most definitely. I mean, let's not forget, like, not everyone had even a telephone back then. So,
right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Cars, planes. I mean, they had a door to door. I mean, that was just tremendous legwork, tremendous effort by them. It makes the moment even more impactful if you think about it that way. August 8, 1989, Pete Rose, the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, agreed to a lifetime ban from baseball after being accused of gambling on baseball. Like, why do you agree to the lifetime ban? Like, that's the immediate question that comes to my mind. Why did he agree? If they said we got proof, we got evidence, this and that, just deny it. And you agree to the lifetime ban.
He did that for as long as he could, and then eventually there was just too much evidence, and it was overwhelming. So that's
okay. Agreeing to the bans, like, okay, you guys banned me from baseball. I'm not saying another word about it. Like, don't agree to say, yeah, I agree that I'll stay away from baseball for X amount of years. You follow what I'm saying? Like, agreeing to the ban, like, you don't have to agree to be exiled from the game, do you? You just walk away. Like, I don't think Craig Hodges agreed to never be in the NBA again, right? He was just exiled and banned. We didn't hear from him again. I don't think Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf agreed not to play in the NBA again. You follow what I'm saying? Like, they just didn't play it again and didn't bring up the argument and, okay, they don't want me around, this and that. But nobody agreed to be banned from the game. You follow what I'm saying?
A little, not a lot.
I mean, Cleveland. Well, you're gonna agree to my elbow when your Jets don't make the playoffs. You don't have to. That's on the paper. That's
if you want to go 2, let me know, man.
If
you want to go 2, let me know.
And August 23, 1982, Gaylord Perry, starting pitcher for the Seattle Mariners against the Boston Red Sox, in an all-time 2 things. Gaylord Perry, he was a long time known for a spitball, throwing a spitball, but he was never caught red-handed. And so that happened that he finally got caught for the spitball in 1982. But was Gaylord Perry, I couldn't confirm this, was Gaylord Perry also had the Emery board that flipped out of his back pocket? Was that Gaylord Perry?
It's his brother.
That was his brother who they came to the mound and he threw the Emery board. He tried to throw the Emery board up everywhere, not realizing
that flip it like he didn't have anything in his pocket.
Yeah. Like he not realizing that there's 13 cameras on you, big guy, when the managers and the umpires are walking out to the mound.
Yeah.
That was a hysterical moment in baseball. Sha'Carri Richardson finally captures a world championship in the 100 meters. She did it from the 9th lane, like outside lane. That doesn't happen. I think that hasn't happened in 40 years. What's your thoughts on Sha'Carri Richardson for finally getting a world championship?
Good for her.
Beating the Jamaicans actually too, by the way.
Track and field, much like cycling.
What? Much like cycling? What?
Much like cycling.
What?
You never really know if those cats are really, really clean or not. So.
Oh my! What? You compared it to cycling, Cleveland? Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Cleveland, have you been on the 10 speed and raced on the 10 speed? Have you raced on the 10 speed? No. I'm not talking about around the block. Have you put on some shoes and raced down the street?
Yeah.
Of course. So how is that? How is the two parallel? There's no parallel between the
because two. Track and field and cycling have the most doping infractions of any other sport. by far. Not even close.
So you're waiting to see the results of the test. Is that what you just told us?
I'm saying that, hey, I have no idea whether she's clean or not. It's hard to say that.
Oh my goodness!
But I'm congratulating her nonetheless.
The medal is still drying. The gold on her medal is still drying, and Cleveland is saying he wanted to see the doping test. Ain't that something? Hey, well, she won it for the USA. She beat the Jamaicans, and you have no confidence in that this is real or not.
I have no idea.
So, did you have a problem with her smoking a little weed before a couple years ago when she got banned? I think she got ejected for the season, not suspended for the season, because she smoked some weed the night before the race.
Did she know that it was a banned substance and that it was going to show up in her test?
Well, I'm not sure.
I mean, regardless of your personal feelings on what it is you want to do and when it is you want to do it, track and field is not one of those sports where you can do that.
Well, not anymore. Actually, it wasn't at the time. I think now it's illegal. It's when you put down the weed and remove the wig. Yeah, I know, right? Removing the wig. That was kind of symbolic, right? When she threw her wig down and went for the race. But yeah, let's hope the girl keeps her head straight and wins a gold medal, because she got the world championship. Let's hope she wins the gold medal. What you guys thoughts on Aljamain Sterling calling now for the rematch after he got knocked out by Sean O'Malley in UFC 292? Now, off the top of my head, when I first saw it, I thought it was an early stoppage. There's no doubt O'Malley caught him coming in on a counter punch, caught him with a good right hand right on the chin and dropped him. But he didn't. With UFC, man, usually they go until the guy's eyeballs hanging out his eye, or his nose is being rearranged on his face. There was not that good hammer fist. He didn't catch him with a good hammer fist. He tried. He was trying, but Sterling, to his credit, was moving around and trying to avoid it the best he can. He caught him with a couple good ones, but nothing that finished him off, if you will. And I thought that was an early stoppage. Clearly, they was in Boston. Clearly, the Boston crowd was. I don't think I've seen where that Boston crowd was rooting for a West Coast guy over a Northeasterner so hard in my lifetime. Now, obviously, there are some differences. Mainly the color of their skin was a significant difference. However, I never saw the Boston, a Northeastern region team, stadium arena, rooting for a West Coast kid more than they was rooting for their own Northeastern kid. It was just amazing to me. But did you think that Cleveland? Did you see it? Did you see the stoppage? Did you think it was an early stoppage?
I did not see the stoppage, Cam. I know that we spoke about this, and it didn't get the extra, repetitive, death blows that you like to see in those, blood sports. But, probably, maybe that'll be a trend kind of going forward. Maybe you don't have to get all 3 or 4 of those punches in. Maybe just, you get set up and get 1 or 2 of those in, and they, like, okay, I see where this is going, kind of thing. So 1 or 2 more punches obviously would have ended there. And another thing about that night is Sterling nor his trainers argued the stoppage, but I just thought it was stopped early compared to what we've seen in the past. I just felt it was kind of stopped a little early, so. That was my interest, or that was my thing there. Cleveland. Reggie Bush was kind of forced, talking about being forced by an organization, to give up his Heisman. Now, I would have never gave up the Heisman. I would have never physically mailed it in, taken it, carried it back. I wouldn't have took it to UPS. I wouldn't have took it to FedEx. Like, they would have had to come search for that. They would have had to physically come to my door and raid my trophy case for that Heisman Trophy. I would have not willingly sent that back, me personally.
But Reggie did that. Reggie did that. Knowing him and Pete down there was just as guilty as ever, and Peter never admitted. And I'm sure you guys don't recognize anything that went on. Malicious activity Pete was in, nefarious activity Pete was involved in Southern California before he came up there to Seattle. I know you guys will never admit to that. But what do you think about Reggie Bush giving up his trophy, and now Reggie says, he wants to fight, get his trophy back? Do you think he has a case to get his trophy back? Heisman Trophy, I'm talking about.
First and foremost, that USC team did a lot of dirty, unscrupulous things while Pete Carroll was at the helm, including paying Reggie Bush's family.
Listen to him. Listen to him admitting this. Listen to him.
Oh yeah, for sure. $3,000 a month. Housing Reggie Bush's parents. So once I got found out, I mean, I never was really like understanding like why he thought he shouldn't give it back. There was no NIL back then. It was a clear violation of the highest rank and file. Yeah, give it back, man.
But he did. I mean, he still ran for 240 on Fresno State.
Fresno State is one of the greatest games you'll ever see a college player play.
I mean, he
and all facets: punt return, running the ball,
he
catching the ball.
He was on the field killing those cats. It was looking like
He was all based on his performance.
NCAA.
Performance-wise, he definitely deserved it. But when your parents are living in a house for $3,000 a month that the agent's paying for, I mean, his biggest mistake was not paying the agent after he went pro.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Had he paid the agent after he went pro,
probably none of this comes out. Yeah,
Heisman would still be at his house.
I mean, again, that was the argument. Is he did it on the field? It wasn't the doping allegations. It was he getting a little something? Was he getting a little something under the table? And apparently he was getting a lot under the table. But that USC team, Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, Lindell White, like they were bigger because at that time you got to remember there's no NFL football in Southern California. They were football in Southern California.
Leinart and Bush were the Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year that year.
Yeah, so that Leinart is another. I mean, I understand staying in school. I mean, at that time, you want to ride that train as long as it could, right? He was a fifth year
ballroom dancing for a semester. Yeah. Anything to come back to SC and be a part of that. Yeah.
You want to ride that train as long as possible. But I think that it impacted his NFL career, man. I think, unfortunately, that impacted that NFL career. It just didn't show the hunger that a lot of teams wanted to see. And when he got to the Arizona, like he didn't really pull it off. That was a time. I mean, gets more revealed. You can't get no more revealed than it's already been. There's no.
Although there's plenty. There's plenty. You don't want to go.
He was with Kim
SC coffin, man. You don't want those skeletons coming out of that closet, man. Not at all.
He's not there anymore. He don't care. He don't care about what's going on.
Damn. They didn't have a television show called TMZ back then when those guys were doing their thing. You don't want those guys digging around, man. Just you already gave the trophy back. Just let them keep the trophy, man. If you want a replica made and put it in your house, get a replica made.
Y'all say let it go, huh? I'm telling you, they would have had to come and take it from me. But like I wouldn't have went to UPS. I would have never boxed that thing up and send it to UPS. Said FedEx, come get this. I wouldn't have made that call. They had had the police breaking the house, and I would have footage of them coming in and break my trophy case and take it out of the house. That's what they would have had to do. But we'll see how things transpire. We'll see. They say, Reggie, let it go. Let it go on, Reggie. What do you think USC is saying? Is USC saying, Reggie, we'll make you a replica? We'll make you a replica and put our name on it. Is that what USC is saying?
Sure. Go right ahead and do that, man.
Messi mania. Are you still not caught up, huh? You gonna wait till Messi runs to
I see he's doing well. He's worth every penny so far. Good for him.
I mean, he's making the game look really, really easy. Like really, really easy. Is my one question about this phenomenon is it's kind of hard to fake some of the success, but are these goalies giving it all to stop his goals?
No, it's an example of what the world has always been saying, that the MLS is like, a minor league team in comparison to what those other teams are. And this is quite possibly, one of the top 5 players in the world. So if you have one of the top 5 players in the world playing minor league soccer, this is what it looks like. Even though he's, a little bit older, that clearly it's not making that much of a difference now, is it? He's still dominating at a very high level.
So in comparison, what are we seeing? Is this LeBron going to playing FIBA basketball for a season? Is this what is this? Is this MJ coming back to play in FIBA basketball, or in not college basketball? This is a step up from college. You know what I'm saying? Is this?
This is
This ain't Barry Bonds playing
it's probably more like playing, the Kentucky Wildcats. Yeah. Yeah.
Going back to play college basketball?
Yeah. Even you're playing the best college teams, but you're still, they're just
I don't think it's that big of a drop. That might be a tremendous drop. So tell us what happened with these Mariners tonight, man. The Mariners are, I'm happy to say, as you guys, I'm a Mariners fan. If you guys didn't know, the Mariners are 8-2, second hottest team in baseball right now. 8-2 in their last 10 games, I should say. 8-2 in their last 10 games. They're one game back. They're one game back, Cleveland. 71-55, or now what's it, 71-56? What happened tonight, man?
Oh, it was a heartbreaking loss, Cam. It was 1-0 for most of the game. Kirby gave up a 2-run home run to Klay Thompson's brother Trace in the 7th. The White Sox took a 3-0 lead. The Mariners battled back, actually took the lead in the 9th, but left the bases loaded. Munoz, our new closer, came in, gave up a run. 10th inning, they loaded the bases but didn't score a run. Got Tim Anderson in a rundown, and J.P. Crawford threw it off of his helmet. The ball caromed off of his helmet, went into the outfield, and Tim Anderson scored from second base to end the game, to win the game.
So they won it on the air.
Yeah, it was a very flukish play. So, I mean, very easily could have swept that series and been a half game out in the American League West. But fortunately, Toronto lost as well, so they still hold their spot as the last wild card spot.
All right, well, let's see if these guys can hang on and don't just collapse here at the end of the season, and ruin this good mojo that they've been of the last. It took them 120 games to get in.
Okay, yeah, Ken, we don't really need your support. Thanks, I appreciate it, though. Yeah,
well, I'm saying hopefully they don't collapse. I mean,
we don't really need your support. Thanks.
So I can't even talk about the Mariners now, huh?
No, you can. I mean, but don't. I mean, we don't need any more bandwagoners. So,
me and Julio, not Francisco, we're good. We're good. You didn't see him? He's on my clip.
No, I see it. I see it
too. He talked to me. He said, "Not playing this game to win a championship. Then why are you playing for?" In his broken English.
Yeah. No, you don't need to find the clip, man. We see it. We're not seeing it. Yeah.
Fans, thank you guys for tuning in once again. Give yourself a round of applause for hanging with the show. give Cleveland a round of applause for participating in the show tonight, fans. Week 254 in the books of the Voice of the Fans podcast. Each and every night, we would leave you guys with a quote. The quote tonight is from unknown artists. Dream without limits, achieve without boundaries. Let your aspirations guide you as your journey towards extraordinary. One more time. Dream without limits, achieve without boundaries. Let your aspirations guide you as you journey towards the extraordinary. Fans, keep dreaming, keep achieving, inspire somebody this week, and then tune in on Sunday for my top 40 hip-hop artists. Fans, as always, want to give you guys a round of applause for joining the show. And then lastly, fans, want to thank you for making our voice your choice.